calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up loud. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's a celebration! No matter what they say. Yeah! Scallywags, nutmeggers, conversationalists, and all you haters. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. I am fired up today. I'm very fired up today. I didn't even realize what day it was. It's January 6th, ladies and gentlemen. Hell yeah! Come on! Now, don't be shy. Don't be shy. I know there's some people out there going, wait a minute, is this guy celebrating January 6th? Yes, I am. Absolutely. Some of you were there. I was there. I was at the Washington Monument with thousands of people. Thousands of them. Just outside the ellipse. Listening to those speeches. Meeting folks, taking photos. Sure, we had lost an election, allegedly, and we gathered together, many of us. And then things got dark. Dun, dun, dun. And we were told over and over again, and we will continue to be told over and over again about that fateful day, how dark it was. There'll be sound bites of people saying things that are absolutely false, fake, and bull. Joanna Hayes. Stop it. People died that day. One person died that day. Another person had a heart attack because they were trampled. A woman was shot through the neck by a man who I understand has an unaccredited child care center. Interesting. Anyway, by a police officer who got a rip for leaving his gun in the bathroom at the Capitol. Yeah, that guy. Praised as a hero. It's an absolute denun. Yeah. So many things we learned, and now people are pretending like we didn't learn them in the last couple of years. The lies, the falsehoods. Did we have any federal agents inside the Capitol wearing Donald Trump and Make America Great Again gear? I cannot answer that question, Christopher Wray told us. For years, he continued, I cannot reveal if there were. It should be a no. That's what Clay Higgins said. Should be a no. We did not set up MAGA supporters inside the Capitol building. Should be a no. But it wasn't a no. We know that there were confidential informants inside the Proud Boys. And who was the other group? I can't remember them, but they'll come to me. They had confidential informants inside of groups that you know they didn't have in there in like a week before January 6th. Kash Patel told us that before he became the FBI director. In order to get a confidential informant, you've got to get someone at minimum 6 months. And they have to have, again, they've got to go back and report everything that's going on. It wasn't like the FBI didn't know anything about idle chatter or chatter at all. going on with the Proud Boys or any other group. But they had confidential informants there, didn't they? Yes, they did. And they had to report to somebody because they've got handlers in the FBI. You know damn well they told them, yeah, we're going to be down there at the Capitol on January 6th. Yeah, the Proud Boys are going to be there. They're going to be in the crowd. They're going to go here. They're going to go there. People know. People knew. That's why there were so many. And remember, the story originally was there were only 23 confidential informants outside in the crowd on January 6th. And then when the real police got inside and checked the numbers, the number ballooned from 23. Now, it would be something different if they said it was 23 and we found that it was really 32. Hey, I would have even said, they lost count if it was 23 and the number turned out to be 57. I'd have given them a little leeway. It's hard to count confidential informants, you know? Sometimes you count them twice and you don't count them at all. No, baby, the number was 250 plus confidential informants in the crowd, along with FBI agents as well, and they were everywhere. Some inside the building. We saw hours and hours of tape. You saw it. Say you didn't, but you saw it. Hey, look at the police handling that one individual. They're walking him over there to the metal detector, and they're releasing him and giving him a handshake. Well, that's weird. I was under the impression these folks were violent and were killers. They grabbed one of the rioters, and they walked him to another area and then let him go and then shook his hand. That seems weird. Well, look over here. There's that QAnon shaman. Is he being escorted by Capitol Police? That guy got Fed charges. He was put in jail, but they were escorting him. Wait, I never saw this. I thought he was some dude who snuck in and just evaded police. They're touring him around. No way. No way. And he went to jail for that? While he's on tour? I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm not falling for that nonsense. No offense. No offense. I was just talking about this a little bit on WBEN today. The propaganda is real. The propaganda is real. That's why they're talking all that nonsense about mis and disinformation. There's a lot of bull. A whole lot of bull. You let those people shame you. They want to bring it back like January 6th was like, I don't know, December 7th, 1940. Yeah, it's what are these people? Who do they think they are? Do you really think that's what this is? That January 6th is something that people are supposed to run, duck, and hide? I say, screw that. Forget that. I want to hear all the haters. All of them. Tell me the lies. Tell me about Brian Sicknick. Tell me more. Tell me about all of the murders that took place on January 6th. I want to hear them all. I want to see them all in the chat room telling me about how it was the worst day since September 11th. Remember that, Kamala Harris? Yes, I want to hear all of that nonsense. Don't you go ducking. Don't you go hiding, folks. January 6th is a made-up lie. It's all a made-up lie, and they remember it every day for one reason, and one reason alone. Somebody knows they lied. Somebody knows they cheated. Somebody knows. They've got nothing else. They're trying to treat it like some sort of day of remembrance. It makes me laugh. Are we going to put the flags at half staff? I hope they do. For Ashley Babbitt. They should show that veteran some respect. Somebody they never bothered to. For those of you who remember that day, and remember what it took for her mother to get justice, some form of justice, you should be standing up for her and the brutal murder of that woman. Because that's what it was, a murder. I love the way people talk about how if it were black folks that stormed the Capitol, that people would have ended up dead. But yet, we had people storming federal buildings in Minneapolis. No one died, and the police ran. Remember that? Told to stand down. Ferguson, Missouri, burned. St. Louis, Missouri, burned. New York, D.C., places across the country. There were plenty of black folks out there. Baltimore, for Freddie Gray, they threw rocks, stones, and partial boulders, cinder blocks at police, and police ran. The mayor of Baltimore at the time said, people need a place to destroy. Let's not forget George Floyd either. Cities burned. And in the summer of love, as they called it, dozens died, but not at the hands of police. No. Not at all. In Dallas, at a Black Lives Matter protest, police officers murdered by one man. At a Black Lives Matter protest. Only people who died were cops. I'm not falling for that nonsense, and I won't stand for it either. I won't. A lot of you can duck and hide and say, look, I don't want to remember that day. You weren't there. If you were there, you know what happened. And you should stand proud because what's being done to you, you're being slandered. And that's the truth. You're being slandered, as is the president. Because I want to make one thing clear before I get out of here. Let me just give you a perfect example about how much of a lie all of this is. And we're going to use recent events to do it. If the president was responsible for what took place at the Capitol on January 6th in 2021, if his words led to that violence, with people fighting with police officers, if his words inspired that, we would hear it on a loop. It would be played every day. As proof, as evidence to why the man was charged for it. Here are his words. But no, we got rhetoric. His rhetoric that the election was stolen. His constitutional right to say so. It's called First Amendment for a reason. Never once said storm the Capitol. But to make matters worse, 5 years later, folks, 4 years later, to be honest, 4.5 years later, the BBC takes the president's comments an hour apart, 2 comments an hour apart, and splices them together to make them appear as one sentence telling people to raid the Capitol. That's the first evidence any opposition to Donald Trump has ever been able to produce that he said anything violent and it was doctored. And folks, for 4.5 years before the BBC did that, now being sued by the president, for 4.5 years, they never played an ounce, an inch, a second of audio of Donald Trump telling people to storm the Capitol. They won't even play the peacefully and patriotically line, because if you ask any of these folks who believe January 6th was incited by Donald Trump, ask them, did you hear him say peacefully and patriotically? You know what they tell them? No, I've never seen that. I've never heard that. Because the press doesn't want you to. They wish to inform you of what he said instead of allowing you to hear and see what came out of his mouth, which is an interesting thing if you think about it. I always look at the people who decide, I heard it on CNN when the audio and the video of the man speaking is available everywhere. Instead of doing any research whatsoever. No, but the president said that we need to fight and we need to go down to the Capitol. Where'd you hear that? I heard it on the news. You know, there's video of the guy, right? Yeah, I've never seen it. You ever think about viewing it? Nah. It's actually kind of funny. It is. It just is. But that's where we are. Don't shy away from this day. Don't shy. Don't let everyone speak and develop the narrative. The objective is to complete the lie until it can't be denied. Rush used to say something, what was it? A lie can travel around the world faster than the truth can put its pants on. And that's how that works. It's sad that it has to come to that. It's sad that people have to do that. But again, some people are just repeating it without any agenda attached to it at all. It's not like they have any particular agenda. It's not like that's their mission in life, to smear the president or his supporters. Some of them think the story is true. Some of them think that angle, that all of that is true. Like the rest of the stuff that we've already found out never happened. And you ask them, hey, did you know that this has been revealed, that this, that, and the third took place? That the president asked for the National Guard, said it might be wild out there, and he was denied? Did you know that? No, I didn't know that. And you missed that? And these are people who work in the business. You didn't know that? No. We should all just look at them and just say, God, how embarrassing for you. How embarrassing. We'll take a break. We'll be back. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC.
Fan of WTIC? Then do us a favor. Download the free Odyssey app and favorite WTIC.
I'll get into that, what that means in a second. I forgot that was there. I need to fix that. I used to say back in the days that you should never, ever go after the elderly, and you should never, ever attack women. And I still believe it to an extent. There are some people who are reprobates. They just are. And those have at it. Just don't be overly, don't be completely disrespectful. Don't be hateful. You can criticize, but don't be hateful. Save that for the professionals like me. At the top of the hour, Dave Menger was quoting or talking about and played audio of a woman by the name of Pamela Hemphill. And she was one of the few who refused a pardon after January 6th. She was referred to as the MAGA granny. And when Donald Trump assumed office many years later and gave a blanket pardon to 1,600 people, she refused. She said, no, what we did that day was wrong, and I will take my lumps. I will pay for my crime, as it were. She refuses. Her reasoning, as they wrote it, said, according to her, she said, accepting it would mean buying into the rewrite of history. Sorry. That it was all peaceful, that everyone was innocent or victimized. She calls that gaslighting and propaganda. In her words, from interviews with NPR, BBC, and the New York Times, she said, quote, I broke the law, we were wrong that day, and it would be an insult to the Capitol Police, the rule of law, and our nation. She says she has escaped the MAGA cult and regrets falling for the lies and wants her own guilt as amends. Real accountability over easy forgiveness. She was charged, the then, I want to say 66-year-old, 68-year-old. She was charged with misdemeanor trespassing. That's what she was. She was charged. She pled guilty to misdemeanor parading in the Capitol and served 60 days in federal prison and got 3 years probation and paid a fine. No violence on her part. How many others got that deal? How many others who walked through got that deal? As I expressed to you, the QAnon shaman, he's the guy who's wearing the horns on his head and the American flag painted on his face. He was toured around the Capitol. Toured. I have audio of him reading the tweet from Donald Trump saying, all of you go home and respect law enforcement. I have it. I'll play it for you. Telling people who are trying to continue inside the Capitol, Donald Trump, he reads Donald Trump's tweet, go home, please protect our Capitol. By the way, Donald Trump gets no credit for that, but whatever. But this woman, Pamela, she says, which sounds weird to me, call me a reasonable guy here, a woman in her late 60s was influenced by what she calls the MAGA cult. And her entering the Capitol that day was not her own doing. It was the cult-like attraction she had to MAGA. She was called a MAGA grandma. She ends up getting arrested. She gets 60 days in jail. And then after the 60 days, she woke up charged with a misdemeanor. A felony would have been different. I bet you any amount of money she'd have taken that darn thing. But that's just me. She takes a misdemeanor. Says, I'm not going to take the pardon. Says it would be gaslighting otherwise. The woman broke nothing. Says right here, no violence from the woman. Other people committed no violence as well. How much time did they get? Were they charged with felonies? Yeah. Many people, in fact, Enrique of the Proud Boys was charged, convicted, and imprisoned. And he wasn't even in D.C. that day. Charged with seditious conspiracy. Wasn't even physically there. The feds was going to put him in jail. They were going to put him in jail for 23 years. That's what they're going to do. Wasn't even there. Had no evidence of sedition at all. But yet, who did they traipse out? Who did the media traipse out? That's what they're doing. Did you even hear of this woman last year? The year before? No. Not at all. I don't remember. It's the first time I ever heard any audio of her, and I do this for a living. Nothing. And now all of a sudden we're supposed to be shooting a MAGA cult. Well, I'd like to take her up on the MAGA cult idea, if I may. Let me take her up on the MAGA cult idea. You said 60-something, right? She was influenced to go into the building on January 6th because she was brainwashed. And that seems feasible to everybody, right? A grown woman probably seen a lot of things in her life. Right? This makes sense. She was influenced to commit a criminal act to go inside the Capitol. No violence, by the way. She wasn't influenced enough to actually hurt anyone or to break anything, which they tried to suggest to us that everybody else did inside that building, right? Fought police, killed people even, according to them, but not Pamela. No, Pamela, consumed by the cult, just went in there and filmed herself waving and walking through the Capitol. For some odd reason, she was captivated in a cult-like way to only tour the building. She was caught up in all of the MAGA lies. They're stealing our democracy. She was captivated, walking around like a mind-numb robot. Because what we're led to believe is that everybody in there was there to do harm. They were killing people. But not old Pamela. Pamela got inside the Capitol building and for some odd reason said, no, I will not kill. No, I will not harm or maim people. No, I cannot compel myself to do the violent things that the others are doing. Remember, she's a part of a cult, right? The MAGA lies. She was seduced by the dark side of the force. But just stop short of murdering anybody. She was called MAGA Granny. She had a moniker. And with all the lies that she was told and Donald Trump steering her down there, MAGA Granny, go down there and do my bidding. She walked into the building and said, some reason I don't feel the thirst to kill. And I'm supposed to fall for this. And so are you. So are you. You're supposed to listen to this and say, yes, this makes sense to me. I can't do it anymore. I can't. It's like, what do you have to do to expose the nonsense? What do you have to do to reveal that all of this stuff it's gotten absolutely recklessly dumb? It's just reckless. It's just like waking up in the morning and people just going, we're just going to say this. And it's like, how obnoxious can you be in this being the narrative? It's almost as if the rest of us live it, like for, was it 5 years now? For the rest of us, we've been living in a hole. Like the TV has been off every year on January 6th, every other day on January 6th, and then they wake up on January 6th and they go, let's retell the story a different way. Like we didn't find out all of the stuff was nonsense. We didn't find out that all, like you don't even know what led to, like you act like you don't know what led to the pardon. Donald Trump heard that Joe Biden pardoned Hunter and his brother. and Adam Schiff, Benny Thompson, Liz Cheney. The guy was just running around just handing out pardons to all these people, and Donald Trump woke up and said, screw this. Everybody, January 6th, go home. Go home. This is a joke. And I'm sorry, Pamela Hemphill, and I hate to have to, crap all over you. It's not you. It's not you. You're being, the fact that you're being used is despicable enough. It's just sad. We got to take a break. We'll come back. We'll take your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC. We'll be back.
It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back. Let me get to a couple of phone calls here. I've got Mike calling somewhere in Connecticut. How are you, sir?
Well, pretty good, but let me ask you, were you watching that day, January 6th?
I was there, sir.
Well, if you were there, maybe you saw what I saw. My wife and I, who was disabled, we had it on. We watched Trump's speech. We watched the whole thing develop. The idea that those guys that were leading the pack, at least, I don't know about the rest of the people following them, leading the pack, they did things that were obviously breaking the law and obviously dangerous for everybody involved, especially those trying to protect it. How dare you speak the way you're speaking about people who say maybe that was criminal? Maybe it was criminal.
I didn't dispute any criminality. Who said that?
I just heard you laughing and laughing.
Yeah, laughing about the fact, the absurdity of suggesting that MAGA Granny was just like the people that day, right? In essence, in the description of the people on that day, as you are describing now, that MAGA Granny was one person, and by the way, I know who she is, and I know exactly who they're talking about because I've seen her several times, even during the day when they were there. And this woman was obviously just going through the crowd like anybody else was walking through the crowd. Many people were treating it like a tourist attraction. Oh, goodness, we're walking through the Capitol. People were taking pictures in front of monuments. Nobody was desecrating anything inside, Nancy Pelosi's office notwithstanding. But they weren't disrespectful to the building in no way outside of the building. Let me finish.
What?
Let me finish. Let me
Come on
finish.
now.
If you're talking about broken windows, I don't care. But nonetheless,
What?
yeah, I don't care about the broken windows. I don't.
Flag stabbing people?
What?
Flag
Whoa!
stabbing
What person was stabbed with a flag?
I watched a guy.
What person was stabbed with a flag?
With a flag stabbing a cop.
There's no. There's not. There's no report of that.
I watched it.
No, I know what you. I know you watched it.
I
I watched it too. Nobody was stabbed with a flag. People were swinging flagpoles, but nobody was stabbed with one.
Well, I saw it happen. Come on now.
Okay, buddy.
Look at.
Well, don't please. Let's not start. Let's start like this. Here's what I want to say. First of all, never ever tell a grown man, "How dare you?" You're not my parent.
How are you laughing about such?
Because it's funny. It's funny to suggest that old Nanny MAGA or MAGA Granny, for some odd reason, was compelled to go into the building, but apparently she didn't have a bloodlust like they keep describing the people who were in that building.
Well, maybe they were right. I watched it. I saw what happened.
Again, I'm going to say to you again, what you saw on television versus what I saw in person. And what's laughable, and this is what makes me laugh, you're describing something you saw on TV to the guy who was physically in attendance.
You were up front and you saw the flag.
On both sides.
No,
I'll tell you even better. Who started the flash bombs onto the crowds? Who fired on the crowd first?
Had it been up.
You didn't answer my question. Who fired on the crowd first? Who fired on the crowd first?
I couldn't see everything.
Okay, I could, and the police, wait a minute, before anybody even approached the windows, people were fired upon with tear gas. Did you know that?
Oh, that's good. They should not.
No. We're talking about while people stood at the gates.
Look, you'll defend anything Trump does, won't you?
Oh, who's talking? Wait.
Look,
this has nothing to do with.
You defend him.
This has nothing
to. You defend anything he does.
This has nothing to do.
You defend everything he does.
Do you want me to answer you? Because I'll be happy to answer your assumption that I defend everything Trump does. Trump wasn't at the Capitol. I'm not defending Trump. I'm giving you.
Changed it all in a minute, according to what anyone thinks.
Did you say
he
CNN?
He could have changed it in a minute.
How could he have changed it?
He could tell them all, call it off. He didn't call it off.
He could have told them to call off what?
Look, the thing was,
I'm not hearing you, sir. You're not answering my question. You said he could have told them to call it off.
It was encouraged by him.
Where are the words? What words did he say that encouraged it, sir?
I watched the whole thing.
Again, can't hear you.
Then
you should know. You should know off the top. You should commit it to memory. What words did Donald Trump say that said attack the Capitol?
Well, I watched the whole thing, and obviously he egged
and
on
you've
the
committed it to memory, so quote it for me.
Well,
Donald Trump said attack the Capitol?
See, guys like you take everything
No,
he
sir,
says,
guys like you can say that Donald Trump said something, and then when you're asked to commit to memory and tell me what it was.
5 years ago now,
come
on.
Oh, now it's 5 years? Wait. I watched it. You can't have it both ways, sir. Sir, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, I saw it, but it's 5 years ago.
Somebody like you. I can't talk to somebody like you that doesn't care what Trump does or says.
Sir, did I call you? No, I'm just trying to understand.
I'm telling you.
You can't tell me anything because you don't remember. You just said it's 5 years ago. I don't remember.
I just heard this testimony that the Republicans even heard and wouldn't let go public for a few days.
What's that?
Because there's such damning testimony.
What testimony?
Damning testimony.
What was it?
Damning testimony from the guy who put it together, and they tried to get and couldn't get because he had the truth. The truth was Trump.
Who's the guy?
Trump egged it on. Look, I don't have to answer you. All I have to do is tell you that you are.
We appreciate you calling, sir. Have a good day. What am I supposed to do? Let's get to the news. I can't. Let's get to the news. John Silva's out. Dave Mager, he's in for the top of the hour news in the WTIC newsroom. We'll be back.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
We're back. I'll do headlines in the next half hour. We got some phones. I want to grab them as soon as possible. But before that, let me go to the scallywags in the chat room. By the way, you can always join the chat room. Go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. You can join us on YouTube, which you can click right there to find. Or you could go on X as well, and you can join the chat room, and I'll read, of course, your comments out loud. First, I want to say thank you to Paulie W. He says, thank you for being on WBEN in Buffalo today. Thank you, sir, for listening. I hear the price of tampons just went down, that Tim Walz is not running again. Yes, that's true. Space Patriot is back. Welcome. What is it with guys named Tim? I don't know. I don't know, Greg. Not sure. Zach says, please tell me that you hire people like that last guy who called. I don't want to think that people like that share the road with me. It's some things you cannot control. That's why I bring up the Serenity Prayer. It is good for everybody. Please use it. It is good. Control the things, Just accept the things I cannot change. Change the things that I can. That's all I can tell you. Let's go to Chris in West Hartford. Hello, Chris. How are you?
Good, Reese. How are you doing?
I'm all right. What's up?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that last caller really was a piece of work. I got
Well, he seemed to be absolutely certain of what he saw, but said it was 5 years ago, so I can't remember.
That's right. He was very certain about all the crimes and everything, but he couldn't give one single fact about what happened. Yeah,
it is weird. It is weird. I would imagine it would be weird to be in that headspace where I am absolutely certain of. You know what that reminds me of, Chris? I'll let you get to your point, but you know what you reminded me of now as you talk about this? Have you ever seen that study that they did with college kids where they would stage an actual robbery in the classroom, in a political science class? So they have a random person come into the room and steal something from them, and then they ask the classroom to describe the individual and what they did, like with their exact actions. And you would find out in a classroom of 30 people, you would get 30 different answers to the thing they all saw.
Right.
You know, and that's what this guy totally, like, he exemplifies that. Is that, again, he said he saw it on television. He is absolutely certain that these bad things happen, but when asked to recall them, not really certain.
Yep. He couldn't recall it all.
Yeah.
At all.
It's weird.
It was a very, well, you were very patient with him. So
I
I
tried.
congratulate you.
Thank you, sir. What was your point? I apologize.
Okay, just a couple of things. Yeah, you did mention about the leader of the Proud Boys being charged with sedition, conspiracy, and the only way they could have charged him with that is if somebody working undercover for the FBI, either an informant or an agent, working undercover, was actually at the meeting where he was saying this.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. That is the case. And it's so funny because I'm not law enforcement. I don't know any of these things. But I remember that Kash Patel interview that he did where he was explaining, look, in the FBI, as with many like CIs, confidential informants, when they are gathering information to give to law enforcement, they have what are called handlers. Be they a law enforcement officer, but in essence, they don't go to the higher up. There's somebody in the field that is the handler of said individual, and they will give them the materials. Here, use this gun. Hey, here's some cash to buy the such and such. This guy is the sort of go-to. And in that relationship, which again is developed over time, it doesn't happen overnight. Hey, you're my confidential informant on January 4th. Go get me evidence for January 6th. It never works like that. The person must be embedded and ingrained into the society that is the target.
Right.
So when he explained that, I go, yes, that totally makes sense. And I looked it up, and sure enough, he's 100% right. So to suggest that Christopher Wray only knew the day of what was going on on January 6th flies in the face of reason. Yeah.
I'd like to see some more. I'd like to get some, hopefully, some whistleblower or somebody step forward and just say, hey, wait a minute. Christopher Wray knew a whole lot more than what he said to Congress, so he was lying to Congress, and that's a felony right there.
Indeed.
The other thing that was missing, unfortunately, but it was on YouTube. You could see the videos. There were dozens of Antifas.
Yes.
Okay? They showed them coming off the bus. They showed them over on the side of the building, about 20 of them.
Exactly, rallying before anyone ever showed up at the Capitol.
Yeah, they were there, and they were pushing, and they were occupying like 20 officers because they had about 20 Antifas pushing back and forth on this fence. And this high bicycle rack pushing, and the police, the Capitol Police would push back. They occupied like 20 of them, kept them away from the front of the building where the main attack occurred. And a lot of the Antifas were wearing these brown coats, these tan coats, and to hide their uniforms, and they attacked. And they were the ones who were using the really foul language. That's how they attacked all through that summer of whenever it was.
Exactly, 2020. You know what I also found that was interesting on that day? My friend Rick Walker was there with me at the Ellipse at the actual speech before we went to the Capitol, because we had not decided to go to the Capitol until we saw, and I have photographs of this, the QAnon shaman came to our group where we were standing, and he was alerting everyone that later on we are going to march to the Capitol, that this was obviously all premeditated, that there was a march to the Capitol. And so Rick says to me, he goes, hey, do you want to go to the Capitol? Because we had only intended to attend the speech and to meet people there and to hang out.
Yeah.
So I was like, I guess, man, if they're going there, sure, we'll find out. I'm there as a reporter, so sure, we'll go. And we start walking down there. We get there, and what we were noticing in the crowd, there are a lot of people wearing black paramilitary sort of like garb with like masks and stuff on. And I remember Rick and I looking at each other going, those don't look like MAGA folks to me.
Right,
like we don't. Everybody else looks like, when I saw the people who were in the crowd, with the exception of the large Asian groups that were there who had been, they were brought there by the folks from the Epoch Times. They were there right next to us. But aside of those, every person looked like they could have been from anywhere USA. This mom was from Michigan. This person's from Ohio. It looked like everyday, middle-of-the-road, middle-class folks who are MAGA supporters. But these guys wearing the military garb and covering their face with, like, the bike helmets, they were just like, no, that's not us. Like, who are these people?
Yeah. That's what they wear. They wear the bike helmets, the gray and the black helmets. And, those were the Antifas, and they showed them inside this guy Lynn Wood, who's this great lawyer that Hannity likes. He retweeted a tweet that was showed two pictures, a two-sided picture. On one side of the picture is this big guy with long hair down to his shoulders, dark hair, and he has his coat on, his heavy coat. And then in the next picture, the same exact guy is standing next to an Antifa. They're all black uniforms. And behind them, up on the stairs, is the third Antifa. And the way you could guarantee that they were Antifas is the idiot who took the picture on the bottom left-hand corner of his camera. And I was looking at this on a laptop. In the bottom left-hand corner of his camera, it said PhillyAntifa.org.
Great.
So they were there. They were there, and a lot of them.
Taking a photograph, trying to frame MAGA, and also promoting their Antifa website.
Exactly. It was a dead giveaway, and the left and the media totally ignored all of it.
Indeed. As I always say, never miss an opportunity to self-promote.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
Okay, thanks, Reese.
You got it. Let's take one more. Lynn is in Suffield. Hello, Lynn. How are you?
I'm doing good. Reese. How are you doing?
I'm great. What's up?
Oh, I couldn't believe that man that called. I don't know how you held it together. I really don't. We were laughing with
Lynn,
it.
here's the thing. Like I tell people all the time. Sometimes my wife even asks me. She goes, "How do you do it?" And I go,
"Yeah,
I've experienced these people too often to lose myself. Like I know what they're going to say before they say it because again." To that, it's crazy, but this is the best way to look at it, Lynn. It's like looking at the public school education system. They all learn the same nothing.
Yeah.
And they repeat the same nothing. So it's, in essence, like it's for them, every one of them are going to say 2 + 2 is 93. So they never deviate. They never deviate. So I understand them. Exactly.
They know nothing.
So it's incredible to watch, and that's why I look at it and I just go, why am I going to argue with a guy that I know is only repeating the same thing he heard from someone else?
I know. The one thing I would have said to him was they have proved there were 245 undercover agents dressed as President Trump supporters.
Yep.
So when he started out, he started saying that the people that were in the front of the line, the guys that were in front of the line were getting everybody riled up and, causing all kinds of havoc. Well, when they could prove where every one of those 245 undercover agents were, what their names were, and exactly what they were doing during this time, then they might have something. Who were they? What were they doing? I mean, a lot of those guys dressed in black had earpieces in. I don't think there were any Trump supporters that went there with earpieces in either.
100% right. I'm trying to find this. Give me a second here, Lynn, that I have you on the line because this is, here it is. I'm going to play this because I think it's absolutely pertinent to all of this.
I have to be very careful of what I say. To which I said, it should be a no. Can you not tell the American people no? We did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol on January 6th. A year has passed. We sit here again a year later. We, the people, still do not have a definitive answer from you or anyone else in the Biden administration regarding the FBI presence and participation in the months leading up to the November election and in the weeks and days prior to January 6th and on January 6th here in D.C. We can't get a straight answer, although we have a tremendous amount of evidence harvested and reviewed over the course of the last year, which you will see. In September, Stephen D'Artano formerly in charge of the FBI's field office in Washington, D.C., testified to the House Judiciary Committee that he was aware the FBI informants would attend the Stop the Steal rally thrown on January 6th. You confirmed that the FBI had confidential human sources at the Stop the Steal rally on January 6th here in D.C., sir?
This is an important part, Lynn. And again, as I always express, and Christopher Wray is the top law enforcement officer in the United States at that time, the FBI. And what do you not do when you are being interrogated? Never answer a question you weren't asked. That's important to note, right? Is it saying, on that day, was the sky blue? If you say, yes, it was, and the grass was green, you've got something to hide, because I didn't ask you about the grass. And you're offering it up. You never offer the stuff up. You just answer, was it blue? Yes, it was. Or just yes.
Yeah.
And here's what Ray does when he says, we're the confidential informants. Here's Ray.
Congressman, as we've discussed before, I'm not going to get into where we have or have not used confidential human sources. But what I can tell you, you asked for a definitive
We'll move on. It's my time. You said no, you're not going to answer. Earlier this year, an FBI informant who is reported to have, quote, marched to the U.S. Capitol with fellow Proud Boys members on January 6th, close quote.
Yep.
He said he was communicating with his FBI handler while people were entering the U.S. Capitol. Can you confirm that the FBI had that sort of engagement with your own agents embedded into the crowd on January 6th?
All he has to do is say yes or no, Lynn. That's all he has to say. That's all he has to say.
If you are asking whether the violence at the Capitol on January 6th was part of some operation orchestrated by FBI sources and or agents, the answer is emphatically
You're saying no?
I never asked you that. I never asked you that. I never even implied it. I just asked whether or not there were people there who were walking with the Proud Boys. Just say yes or no, or I can't answer. If you're implying, I never implied a word. In fact, if you listen to all that Clay Higgins says, he never once suggested it.
So he basically, yeah.
That's the point. That's the whole point I'm making. The guy who has done, and I've imagined in his law enforcement history, he has interrogated witnesses, interrogated suspects in his time. And what he knows as an FBI agent, knowing tells, right? The sort of giveaway. They shift their eyes to the left. They're uncomfortable in their seat. They sweat a little, you know? They use words they say too many times. Everybody's got to tell. Pantomimes, as they say. Everyone's got one. That's his job. That's his job to know that. And he does the one thing that will totally incriminate a witness. Offer stuff I never asked.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Like I said, he got charged, didn't he?
Well, no, not yet. Not yet, but we are.
Not yet.
No. That's the investigation into Christopher Wray continues. You can damn well bet.
I hope so.
You got it.
Anybody that calls you about this January 6th protest, you tell them, prove that 50 men could get through those Capitol doors that weigh 20,000 pounds each without somebody opening them from inside.
There's videos that actually support that. And it, again, from every word I've heard in the English language about the events that took place that day, here's the point that always drives home. The word insurrection on an event where no one was charged with insurrection. You had over 1,600 people charged. 1,600. Not one person was charged with an insurrection, yet it is described as such. Makes no sense.
Those guys were tortured in prison horribly.
Indeed.
They were horribly tortured.
Thank you, Lynn, as always.
Well, have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Never got it. Aaron B. says, for CIs, it's more common to recruit one from inside the organization you are trying to infiltrate. That's right. And what you'll do is, in many cases, you get the guy who maybe he's committed a crime outside of that. He's got a warrant or something, and you offer him a sweetheart deal. Hey, we'll overlook that, maybe give us a little bit of dirt on this, that, and that. They always got their eye on that individual. That's how that goes. It happens all the time. But you're 100% right, Aaron. And is that my wife? I said, those men were FBI and Secret Service. Yeah, I believe they were. Do I have time? Let me see if I can let me take Joe in Durham real quick. What's going on, Joe?
Hey, Reese, how are you?
I'm good, sir. What's up?
Hey, I was there as well.
You were? Okay.
Yeah, I was on the backside, where...
Now, you were on the backside where the inauguration usually takes place, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
I actually got forced. My brother and I, we actually got forced to climb up the scaffolding because there were so many people there and they were shooting the gas,
Yes, and this is, again, so you're there. I am not telling tales out of school when I say unprovoked, before anybody moved on the fences, police officers were shooting those canisters of pepper spray to people on all sides of that side of the building.
Oh, yeah. I was up top where all the cops were standing, on the bleachers. One guy, I do have to say this about the military guard. You're probably not gonna have enough time, but we had gone to the car after we left the ellipse, and then we found what was happening. So I actually had a gas mask that I brought with me because we were afraid of Antifa spraying all this stuff. So I brought it with me, strapped it to my leg, and had it on. And I noticed people who were holding it. I don't know if you noticed this too. There were different colored pennants, like flags.
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
I was trying to figure out, I'm like, who are these people walking around with the flags? They were trying to recruit me to get up to the front of the line because I'm also a big guy. I'm 6'5".
Yeah.
And I had the gas.
But it seemed like in a lot of ways, which I thought was interesting, a lot of the crowds, and I thought this was really, and I remember this very, very weird feeling that came over me. You know what? Actually, you know what? I got to go to a break. Can you hold on for me for a minute?
Of course.
Okay. You stay on the line. We'll got to take a break real quick, and then we'll bring it on the other side. I want to talk to you a little bit more about this, about something that I saw interesting on the other side, as well as the inauguration side in a minute. So stand by for me. Let's take a break. More news, more views. We'll talk a little bit more about this with Joe when we return. It's Reese on the radio.
Listen to WTIC News Talk 1080 on the free Odyssey app. Download and like WTIC today for alerts on special programming.
Let's go back to Joe in Durham. Thanks for holding on for me, Joe. I appreciate you. So you're on the inauguration side of the Capitol. Do you get there early as like the crowds begin to get there? Because we got there roughly about the part where I think we made it like the fountain is about as deep as it got. It didn't get really, really deep at that level yet. Just before they started shooting off the canisters of pepper spray and tear gas.
So we got, like I said, after we left the ellipse, we went to the car because we didn't eat all day. You know how it was. You got to get there early. There's no food to eat or anything.
Right.
And people who had left the Capitol were telling us what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, like I said, I brought the gas mask with me and all
right.
that. And my brother strapped a bulletproof vest on underneath his coat just in case.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was people were trying to get me to do things like when we were up top, there was a guy. He wasn't in all military garb. He had the face covering. He had the helmet.
Yeah.
And he jumped the bike fence in front of all the cops that were standing there and cut that white tarp that kind of went around the bleachers.
Yeah. Yep.
He cut that and tried to get me and my brother to follow him through underneath where the cops were standing.
Right, because no one is there. Like the sentiment, which a lot of people don't understand, was to go there and be at the Capitol in the building so that people could hear us outside say, "Stop the steal." That's what the intent was. Were there others with other intentions to get inside? Sure, clearly, because, that was the whole idea. But this is the part that I never understood, right? Because if you've been anywhere in Washington, D.C., that place has always been, no matter where you're from, if you're not even from the area, I'm from the area, that place is incredibly fortified. Before January 6th, you go to Union Station over by the Amtrak, there's a state trooper and a National Guardsman at the train station.
Yeah.
So it's always fortified.
we were running up from like the backside, and people were leaving, and you saw the tear gas just covering the crowd. So that's when I had put it on. I didn't put it on when I was going there. I put it on when they just,
Yeah, and everyone asked the same question, was like, wait a minute. No one's trying to breach any of the gates. And we're standing there. We're looking at this. No one's breached the gates. No one's pushing. Nobody's like, no rabble-rousers in the sense, or people saying, go in, go. Nothing is ever provoking it. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I hear boom, boom, like these loud bursts. And I look at Rick and I go, yo, Rick, are they firing tear gas? I'm not familiar with, because I'd never been in a riot before, so I'm not familiar with tear gas. And I'm going, are they firing tear gas canisters at us? And he goes, I think so. And then we wait, and then one gets closer to us. Now we're on the far left side, on the side of the building that separates the front and the back. So we're on that side. There's somebody on that scaffold, because remember they were retrofitting everything for the inauguration, because it's January 6th, and of course it's January 20th in the inauguration. And someone is on that big scaffolding at the top, and they shoot, and I see the thing explode next to us. So we all grab our shirts and we get the hell out of there. And we're saying to ourselves, wait a minute, no one has even provoked this. Why are they shooting these canisters? It makes no sense. So we go on the other side. No one, again, still standing there. No one doing anything. They're standing in front, and everybody's screaming, stop the steal, stop the steal. The kid, C.J. Pearson, gets on top of some sort of, it's either a car, a truck, or a Jeep or something that's parked there. He gets on the back, and he's looking at the crowd away from the Capitol with his fist up, and everybody's shouting, stop the steal, stop the steal. There is no police presence on this side. And this is the side that you always see the congressmen and the congresswomen going up, the sort of gray side of the building. No one is up there. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, as we're standing there, we see 4 officers come through the front doors and walk all the way down to the bottom of the stairs where the police partitions are. Unheard of, because no one, when the police weren't there, no one had tried to breach the barricade. No one even bothered to go upstairs. All of a sudden, the police officers come downstairs. They ascend. They get to the bottom of the stairs where the police barricade is, and that's that little horse thing with the bar, if you will. They come all the way down the stairs, and then out of nowhere, people are pushing to get past them, which they clearly could have done unimpeded before the cops come downstairs. But the cops come downstairs, and all of a sudden, people are approaching, and I'm going. And I look at Rick and I go, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. When they had no police there to stop them, they never went up the stairs. Everybody stayed at the bottom. All of a sudden, the police come down, and then the police are wrestling with people to prevent them from going upstairs. It was the oddest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Very odd. I mean, one of the cops actually, because when I was standing up top, I had my hand on one of those bike racks, because I had it around where the cops in the yellow vest were. He had actually took the baton and hit my hand just because I was holding on to the I couldn't believe.
Yeah, there was, again, a lot of things that now you look at 5 years later and just go, this is suspicious.
Well, think about how they geofenced, how they subpoenaed all our cell phone numbers.
Oh, and my bank records.
Yeah.
I bought a cup of coffee, and I found out that was a part of an inquiry.
I called gate to my house because I got a bridge. The stream that comes in the bridge. You got a driveway before I put a gate, automatic gate across there, because I had heard about. My wife was pregnant at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know how old he is. 18 months. She's gonna kill me. I don't even know.
Wait a minute. Are you the person that Adam 12 just called in? Did you get visited?
No, but I was worried. My brother and I were worried. We couldn't believe that we were not contacted. I think because we did have, the military garb on. They maybe had figured that we were some kind of, FBI from, a local office going, because you know how they all went.
Yeah.
From all around the country, FBI agents.
Look, listen, all you need to know is, see, a guy like you would have been probed, but who did they probe? As I mentioned about, Pamela Hemphill, the woman was in her late 60s, and they found her and they charged her. They were going to elderly couples, and for just the crime of walking through the Capitol. They broke nothing. They destroyed nothing. They walked through, and because they photographed themselves there and they followed all of their geolocation on their cell phones, went to their homes, be it Iowa, be it Kansas, wherever it was, found those people and federally charged them. Old folks.
There was I can't remember. Maybe you know. There was a Proud Boys member, I think, from Connecticut. I can't remember. They came and charged him too. He took him off to the gulag.
It was incredible nonetheless. But I'm glad that you're safe, and thank you for calling to share your experience with me as you were there. And did you drive all the way down from Connecticut?
Yes, we did. We drove the night before.
Wow.
And one of my friends had just got a hotel last minute. And I remember them talking about the busloads of Antifa getting dropped off the night before.
Oh, yes, and we have video of that as well. It's all there available. I know some people who act like we have no idea any of this stuff actually happened. They treat it like nope, we didn't see any of the new evidence. Like, yes, we did.
A lot more.
Yeah, it's just insane. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you holding on for me, okay?
Hey, thank you for letting me share the story.
My pleasure, man. I appreciate you. Hey, here's my favorite. Well, I can't call you a conspiracy theorist. That's not fair. You're one of my favorite people who always gets to the bottom of this crazy stuff. How you doing, Kim?
I'm doing fine. By the way, it's not conspiracy.
No. That's why I said that's not fair for me to call you a conspiracy theorist. Yeah. That's why I corrected myself.
Well, I have to tout myself, okay? So here's the thing. I was the first one of your inherited audience who talked about George Soros. I was the first one to talk about there's something wrong with the intelligence communities. They're not working for us, the American citizens. They're working for globalists. I was the one to first introduce globalists, okay?
Yes.
So you call me a conspiracy theorist? Hey, it's a fact, okay? So a couple of things. I was there in January 6th, too, and I just want to tell you I told your inherited audience, Pastor Will's audience at the time, that I was going. And I sassed your audience, and I said, I feel when after that election that Trump was saying, I want you to go there. I want you to witness. I felt like I had to witness what was going on.
Yeah.
And I went. And I actually sassed your audience and said, you need to go, not just me. And I said, don't expect someone else to go there and witness for you, and don't expect someone else to try and fight for your rights.
That's right.
Very few people, and I'm glad to hear you went, Reese. I did not know that. In fact, I'm glad to hear people calling in, because for months afterwards, a year afterwards, I never heard anyone say other than me that went there.
Nobody would. They were scared to death to even mention it, because again, it was a zeitgeist that said that you were so much as involved, you were going to be demonized and called an insurrectionist when people were afraid to step up.
Right. ABC, CBS, nobody would cover anything. None of the internet programs, Facebook or wherever, let you talk about anything, Google, whatever.
Right.
And by the way, I'm going to sass your station right now, because they shouldn't be calling that the half-hour news. They should be calling that the half-hour lies, okay?
I heard exactly what you heard, and I, again, I can't even get into it, but that's exactly what I'm just going to say with you is that this is a mantra that has been repeated over and over again. And even when I first got here, Kim, the first thing I said was that no one has been able to find me a person who has been charged with insurrection, but yet the word is thrown around like a football, and it's absolutely unheard of. But you got to do what you got to do. But anyway, go ahead. What was the other thing you wanted to bring?
Give me time on this, because these are important. First of all, Lara Logan has a movie coming out, and it's called The Sleeping Giant. The Sleeping Giant, not to be confused with what they're trying to do on the internet right now. There's an old movie or something called The Sleeping Giants, but put in The Sleeping Giant and January 6th. Real America's Voice, which I listen to every day for about 10 hours, which I used to do with WTIC, by the way, but because they're part of the liars. I don't listen to him so much anyway, except for your show.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Spare me, at least.
So, and anyways, hey, I bought cars that were advertised on your station before, but since I'm not listening now and I'm listening to Real America's Voice, you're not getting my dollars to buy your sponsors' products. But in any case, that's for your management, by the way. So here's the thing. Lara Logan has the Sleeping Giant, put in Sleeping Giant and January 6th. It's the full information. It's people who've got the video of what really happened. And January 6th, by the way, do you know what the purpose of January 6th was? It wasn't just for us to show up the American people, to claim our rights, know that, say that the election was fraudulent, which it was. It was January 6th has a purpose. What's supposed to happen a certain day after, and I think it's January 6th every year, after an election, a presidential election every 4 years, of course, the Congress is supposed to get together and talk about the election.
That's right.
They're supposed to debate how did that election go. They're supposed to note irregularities.
It is not a blank check. It is not a blanket certification of it. It is to be there to debate and to as they did.
Note the irregularities, which were so many of them, and come to a consensus and resolve disputes. That has been our history.
Exactly the case. And it happened in 2000. It happened on January 6, 2001. It happened on January 6th of 2016.
Right.
Or 17 for that matter.
For that. That's why Trump says show up on January 6th and emphasize and let the people, the Congress know that you noted these irregularities. You noticed that something was terribly wrong between ballot harvesting and all the weirdness at 3 a.m. when Trump was ahead and all of a sudden the numbers are weird. All the other weird stuff that went on. So that's why that was supposed to happen. But conveniently for the leftist, globalist, stealers and liars, what was happening, otherwise also known as Democrats, I guess.
Same language. Kim, unfortunately, real quick, but I got to take a break right after.
Okay, so they had the riot, and that took everybody. They never got to do that. So
that's right.
In another way, Biden was illegitimate because they never resolved irregularities and disputes, and no consensus was there. So the best people were there, by the way. That's the thing I noticed about it, and I'm pretty sure I was right next to Ray Epps. The best people, other than him, was there, and the people who worked with him, and the Fed's direction that it was.
Yeah.
The best people were there. They were patriotic. They were religious. And the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys are still suffering in prison. Those people, by the way, the Oath Keepers believe in keeping their oath to God. They're keeping their oath to their country and to their spouses. So they're great people. And anybody who showed up there was always saying to you, God bless you. God bless you. How offensive is that?
Yeah,
right?
That's exactly. That's why I say the restructuring of what happened that day and the relitigation of it every time as people try to keep putting dirt on that day and then the individuals who attended that day, I cannot stand for, and I just won't. And they can hate me for it, but I don't care. Thank you, Kim, as always. I love it when I hear from you.
Okay, thanks, Reese.
You got
Bye-bye.
it. You got it. All right, let's take a break. We'll be back. More news, more views. I know the phone calls are there. We'll get to them, I promise. It's Reese on the radio.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Let's take one last one before we go to weather and traffic. Dave is in Bristol. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Reese. How you doing?
I'm all right. What's up?
All right. Well, I'm going to Kim just kind of talked about what I wanted to talk about. The whole thing on January 6th, the certification of the election, is a constitutional process.
That's right.
And it has nothing to do with the insurrection or anything else. That process never went through.
It went off. It was a blanket certification. Due to the events that day.
Well, Ted Cruz in Texas and several other senators were contesting the election.
Yeah.
And that got stopped because of the so-called insurrection. So all these liberals that want to call and talk about the Constitution, guess what? It didn't happen that day. And it's not because of the insurrection. That should have been continued to the next day or the day after.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever the case may have been, anyone who had any objections to vote counting, the Secretary of State certifying ballots, any of the cases, they should have been hashed out on that day and allowed to, just as it was in 2000, as I said, or 2001 on January 6th, and as it were in 2017, where guys like Jamie Raskin stood up and contested the results of Donald Trump's election. You're 100% right. That's what they're supposed to do. Sorry about that. I got to get to weather and traffic, Dave. I'm sorry, buddy, but I appreciate you. Let's get our first check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center. How we doing, bud?
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Now, we are going to get back to the contest, so if you still wish to apply, you can. Go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com so you can win a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe. We will let you know when we announce the next winner who you are. But in the meantime, don't forget, on the 16th, which is 10 days from now, we will be live at the Vernon Between Rounds on Hartford Turnpike. From 2 to 6, we will be broadcasting Reese on the Radio Live. Myself will be there. Roseanne on the radio will be there. We hope that you will be there as we broadcast live. I think Joey will be there as well. Come by. They've got a whole new promotion. Connecticut Food Share will be there as well. They've got the Becca program. They've also got 3 dozens of bagels, and if you buy them, I think it's for half off, that they give a donation to the Connecticut Food Share. Jerry Puya will probably call me and correct me on that one. Nonetheless, that's the deal. So come by on the 16th. It's a Friday. Come hang out with Reese on the radio, Roseanne on the radio. We hope to see you there at the Vernon location located on Hartford Turnpike from 2 to 6. We'll probably be there early as I set up for the show and sort of meet and congregate with folks. And we'll eat there and we'll tell stories and we'll revel about days of yore and all that good stuff. Now let's get another check of weather and traffic with our good friend Mark Christopher in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. How we doing out there?
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
That was my fault. I may not have opened up the screen. Somebody said, hey, what happened to the screen? It was my fault. I did that. Doesn't look like I'm going to get the headlines today, but that's okay. It's just the phones are ringing off the hook, and that's kind of what happens, you know. I did have a whole show planned, and it doesn't look like we're going to get to any of it because everyone wants to talk about January 6th. I promise we'll get to a regular programming tomorrow. And we will. There's a whole bunch of stuff to get into on the show. Fritz the Cat, what's going on, big guy? I want to start because today's show, what I wanted to focus on was something I was talking about on WBEN this morning, was about the job market here in Connecticut. Also, there's the comptroller. I called his office today, or at least his press person, and couldn't get through to them. Because he's talking about Connecticut needs to fix the Medicaid problem now. We'll get into that tomorrow as well, and I'll reach out to his team to see if we could get him on the program to find out exactly what he's talking about. Because if he ain't talking about waste, fraud, and abuse, I don't want to hear squat from that guy. Nothing at all. Talking about we need more money after everything we're seeing happening across the country when it comes to Medicaid fraud? No. No, not at all. So we'll reach out and we'll see what happens. Let me go to Peter in East Hartford. How we doing, Peter?
Yeah, and let's give it up for Sarah out in Bloomfield. She's this hour's winner for the record of her choice.
Okay. How can I help you today, Peter?
That was just On the remotes, yeah, you got me on that. I did that for 20 years. Actually, the remote itself was the longest running remote broadcast in the entire United States.
Where were you remote from?
The Polish National Home in Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay, and you were broadcasting to where?
To WRYM.
Oh, okay. And where's that
in
located?
Newington on Willard Ave.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're a broadcasting guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so you got. Yeah, I like the remote thing, and get something going. It takes effort. I don't have to tell you. By the way, I met you at the Inn and Resorts place in Glastonbury. You and Roseanne.
Oh, okay.
I was telling you about Curtis Stone, the late great Curtis Stone from Abilene, Texas.
I do remember you. Thank you so much for calling back.
Yeah, and so he was one of those people that I'm not criticizing him. He's there on the air, and you're not.
What are you talking about?
But he sounded, like not like the typical DJ back then. I says, I got to find out what this guy looks like. and I think I told you, he was nice enough to open the door. I was with a couple buddies, and he said, yeah, I'm Curtis Stone. He was a little black guy.
I do remember you telling me the story. But I'm physically in Connecticut now. I'm not in Texas anymore.
No, right.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm physically here. I'm trying to touch and feel every part about the Nutmeg State. It's a little cold out there and making it a little difficult, but I'm still here.
Excellent.
Thank you, Peter. I appreciate you, sir. Let me grab a few here. Ralph, what is going on, my buddy?
It's not really great weather down here, but it's a heck of a lot better than you have up there, Reese.
Yeah, we've got some freezing rain, which I'm really concerned about. I hope it doesn't start when I get out of here in 2 hours because I can't drive in that stuff, and I got to go uphill.
Nobody can drive in that stuff. I know. I did it for years.
Yeah.
I call Reese. Do you think if it was a Democratic president that did this, that your buddy Slime Buddy Murphy would be doing what he's doing?
No, but really, does Murphy have a choice? He's being raked over the coals online about his, let's just say, indecision on what point of view he has as it pertains to Nicolas Maduro. People are posting up, like literally posts saying Donald Trump doesn't have the guts to do something about Maduro, and then saying Donald Trump didn't have the legal authority to do that. I mentioned this earlier, Ralph, to give you a perfect example of just how ridiculous all of this sounds. And the reason why I was so irate yesterday, people know the facts to this story, but they ignore it. But let me throw out a couple. So Barack Obama, the patron saint of everything black in this country, said that Nicolas Maduro was a national security threat to the United States. Donald Trump, in March of 2020, files an indictment, gets an indictment on Nicolas Maduro. Joe Biden becomes president and puts a $25 million bounty on the man. Who did he think he was going to collect? Dog the bounty hunter? I mean, the guy was literally putting a bounty on the guy's head, and no one said a word. And then Donald Trump comes and picks the guy up, and everybody's acting like, again, what was the purpose of the $25 million bounty if it wasn't to oust the so-called sitting president of Venezuela? Which, again, also false, because he wasn't. He was a despot. He was a dictator who had pretty much planned a coup. Wait. Oh, and forgot, the 30 men who were protecting him were Cubans, not Venezuelans, because Venezuelans, and I quote, hate his ass.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing too is, you know what I would ask those morons? The biggest moron is Murphy. Listening to him, you wonder why. And I never say I'm from Connecticut. I now live in South Carolina, and I guess I would ask these clowns, Murphy and the rest of the clowns, Reese, and nobody ever holds their feet to the fire, and that's what bugs me. Republicans got to start holding their feet to the fire. I'd ask them, what was your plan to stop these drugs from coming in the country? Where is your plan? Please let us know. What is it? And
it's probably the same attitude they had towards teenage pregnancy. You just can't stop them. What are you going to do? You can't stop them.
You can stop. Like heck, you can stop them. Ask those 32 boats that got blown to hell if you can stop them or not.
Yeah, I know exactly. And now that the Navy is sitting right outside that border, I haven't heard anything about any boats coming. I haven't heard any words. But, there you go. Thank you, Ralphie. Let me play this real quick. Speaking of what Ralph said, before Maduro was taken by the president, of course, by, Delta Force, but before Donald Trump ordered the removal of Nicolas Maduro, there were people who knew that Maduro was a dictator, that he had stolen an election, that he had staged a coup and he was staying in power no matter what the election results were, that he had tortured, that he had killed many of his Venezuelan people. There was an 8 million person exodus out of the country. They all knew it. And when asked, people apparently were polled about whether or not the United States should oust him. Harry Enton on CNN talked about that poll today.
U.S. military ousting Maduro. Pre-ousting, what you saw was the clear plurality of Americans opposed at 47%, just 21% support. Come over to this side of the screen. After the ousting, look at that. The support through the roof. Now we're talking about 37%, well within the margin of error right here of the opposition, 38%. It turns out Americans like what they deem to be successful foreign policy operations.
Now, this is an important point of view. Before Nicolas Maduro was ousted, 21% of people supported it, 47% opposed it. Why? Because no one thought it could happen. No one understood how you would get there without going in and removing him yourself. No one thought to do that. And as Harry Enton says, after he had been ousted, after he was picked up by Delta Force, there has been a complete swing. 37% now say they're for his ousting. After, of course, they've seen it done. So that means that the swing goes from 21% to 37%. That's a 16-point uptick. 16-point. The opposed before his ousting was 47. It went down to 38. That means it went down 9 points. And it's now a dead heat, 37 for it, 38 against it. So all it took was someone to actually fulfill the removal, and it completely changed everyone's opinion. But it gets better. Now that Nicolas Maduro is in custody and he has been formally charged in the Southern District of New York, Harry Enton revealed something else that's quite alarming. And to all you protesters out there, you should have waited.
What about the idea of putting Maduro on trial here in the United States?
Yeah, part of the reason why I think that the success number is way up, and you saw it here, it was 26 points in favor of opposition, now within the margin of error, is because they simply don't like Nicolas Maduro. And in fact, they believe that he should be on trial for drug trafficking. Look at this, 50% of Americans favor compared to just 14% who oppose. So there are very few Americans here who oppose it.
Who here right now just heard that and said to yourself, another 80-20 issue that the Democrats have decided to side with the 20? 50% of Americans are in favor of Maduro facing trial. Only 14% are against. But wait, there's more.
Even among Democrats, the opposition number is below get this, just 24%. It is below 25%. So this is something that unites Republicans. It divides Democrats. And at this particular point, support for the operation way up.
24% of Democrats don't support him being indicted, which means a large group of Democrats support him being on trial. Split amongst Democrats, just 24%, not even a quarter, of Democrats believe he shouldn't be tried. So even in their own party, of the people you see outside protesting, just a small fraction. Again, as I said yesterday, it makes no sense. It makes no sense because it doesn't. And again, as I warned you yesterday, I'm not arguing with these people about this, that, and the third and what they're trying to make the argument about. Oh, Donald Trump broke the law. Donald Trump declared war. Come on. Those are people trying to make issues out of things that do not exist. I've got a whole list of things that will amaze you from prior presidents that no one even bats an eye. It's like, oh, that was wrong too. Well, if it was an act of war, then, hey, what's up? Let's start holding people to war crimes. Huh? Or do they have immunity now? Huh? Don't they have immunity according to the Supreme Court? Did we just have a Supreme Court ruling on that? That in your official capacity as President of the United States, you have immunity? So what are we talking about here? Seriously, what are we talking about? And I apologize for my behavior yesterday to those who don't usually see me like that, sort of, agitated, if you will. I was a little miffed for obvious reasons. Because, again, it's one thing to hear the so-called smartest of smarts just be caught up in the most ridiculous minutia of conversations for the sake of just trying to make a point. The whole conversation is silly. Maduro's going to trial. What happens to Venezuela with Americans being there, China being out, Russia being out, and that vacuum being closed where there are no brutal dictators there? I'm good. You can't tell me all the rest of that crazy nonsense that you folks pulled. Now all of a sudden everybody wants the rule of law. Everybody wants to follow the rules. Nah, I'll pass. And again, with all due respect, I don't care. And I don't have to. My objective is to come here and just talk about what the facts are, to lay them out and have you think. That's it. I'm not trying to be right. Leave that to the egomaniacs. Trying to be right. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic. I'll talk to somebody who get it right now. He knows exactly what's going on the road. He is the overseer of the roadways. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Remember this tune?
Is that Rufus and Shaka Khan?
No. Listen. Get it right, brother. Get it right.
That's not Shaka?
That's the Queen. That's the Queen of Soul.
Oh, is that Aretha Franklin?
I think Luther produced that song.
May have. That sounds like 80s. A Luther track.
Yeah, early 80s.
Get it right.
Exactly.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC. News Talk 1080.
I'll wait until later before I have to correct the record about something as it relates to Pamela Hemphill. I'll wait. Stay tuned for that. It's just, again, anyway, not important. Somebody just sent me a message and asked me, did I see that the Republicans are doing an ad mocking the pizza capital when it comes to Governor Lamont? Yeah, I did. I have to see the ad. I haven't seen the ad yet. I'll address it. I'll address it soon enough. Has no one told Ben Proto about our ad here? About the Reese on the Radio ad? Has no one told him yet? It's okay. I'll make sure he gets it. I'll make sure he gets word of it. We'll show him. We'll show him. We'll show him how. Day late, the dollar short. That's kind of how it goes. It's just the way that it is. By the way, folks, look up Jason Riddle. Everybody, everyone, look up Jason Riddle, just so I don't have to do the correction. So, anyway, moving on. What do we got coming up? Oh, I want to talk about quickly about the Nicholas Maduro thing, but more importantly about the job market here in Connecticut. Because I talked about it today on WBEN, and I noticed something that has happened over the years that should be something we should stop doing, that we need to kind of go back to the old ways of doing it. And that is job interviews. You may have heard a story, I think Roseanne and I talked about it maybe briefly, that there's a story that suggests that young millennials are going to job interviews with their parents. Unheard of. It's crazy. I've actually heard this story. They're showing up at job interviews with their parents. But there's something that's going on in the job market that is, I actually think, a mistake in the information age and the technological age that needs to be fixed. I'll talk about that when we come back. Because I don't think it's working, and I think it's hurting the job market. I think it's part of the reason why we have so many jobs that are available. I've got a list of them here about Connecticut jobs that are not being filled, and I kind of think I understand why. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Let's get to weather and traffic with our good friend Mark Christopher. He's at the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Mark, and before I let you get to that,
yeah,
I know you've worked in radio for a lot of years. What are you working on? Like 30 years now?
Let's see, Amy, that'd be 42. This will be my 43rd year.
43 years.
Yeah, I started 1983.
Holy moly. Goodness gracious. I hope I have a career that's even close to yours.
The great WHUS, the University of Connecticut in Stores.
So let me ask you this question, because I'm going to bring it up in the next one. Do you remember what it was like to actually go into a job and be interviewed, or even go into a job and ask for one? You don't remember that?
I've asked for jobs.
Yeah. Did you ever walk in and say, hey, are you hiring, or have a personal conversation with the employer? You know what I mean? Like applying for a job in person.
Yes, a few times.
You have.
But I never really had a tough interview. It was more of a couple of questions, and are you going to show up, dude?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'll be here.
Boy, the faith that people had in their employees back then.
And I could have started in radio probably 4 or 5 years earlier, but I was so shy in high school.
There you go.
I could have walked down to a local radio station because I knew the morning guy. I'd sat in with him when I was in junior high. And Wayne Norman, who's a Connecticut Radio Hall of Famer, and all I would have had to go is say, Wayne, remember me I was a kid from 7th grade, you gave me an A on my report, and I'm sure he would have found something for me to do, but I was so shy.
I want everybody to remember exactly what Mark Christopher just said. He didn't go in for a job because he was shy. There was so much to what he just said.
You know what? I tell young people all the time, don't be shy, go for it, because if you don't go for it, you never know, and you never know where you'll end up.
Exactly.
Look at your life.
Exactly.
What you've done.
Exactly. I'm going to piggyback off of what you just said, because that is absolutely paramount to what I'm talking about today.
The NAACP calls him, whoa, I don't think I'm allowed to read this. It's Reese on the radio. Let's just say some people are not fans. On News Talk 1080 WTIC.
I don't know how many of you got your jobs online. Many of you have recently. If you're a younger person, you probably are a generation of people who have applied for a job online. I have been told several times in my life, go to our website and apply. A lot of people don't know this. Very true. I worked at U-Haul for 5.5 years, worked up the corporate ladder, became a manager at the corporate office, and I applied online in 2012 and did not get hired until May of 2013. I just filled out and someone randomly, in fact, I'll never forget it, Marty, who was my boss, my direct supervisor, he was the one looking for someone, and he came across my name and called me up. And I came in for an interview and began working that first day during the interview. I said, hey, when do you want me to start? He said, can you come back in now? I was like, you mean to train? He was like, absolutely. It was almost, I want to say 6, maybe to 8 months from when I put that application in online. What am I getting at? Simple. This is the dumbest thing in the world. It's the stupidest way to get people to work at a job. And that's the norm. It's the absolute norm. Roseanne was just telling me the other day that she saw a place that she really liked and she would love to work there just because she could get a discount. And she went in there and she goes, are you guys hiring for anything? And the woman looked her right in the face. Somebody is eager to work there. You know that the place is dying for people to work. Looked her right in the face and says, you have to apply online. Why? That's the way we do things. You're never going to get people to apply for a job online. I know everything is supposed to be the interweb, but that's not how people apply for jobs. Just isn't. Going to a job, you walk up to the job. You see the job and you say, hey, are you guys hiring? I don't know a place in the world that doesn't just do that. When you see a place and you see, we have like a help wanted sign outside. Kids usually respond to that. A Foot Locker. They see the sign outside, they walk right up and they go, hey, you know what? I'd love to work here because I get a discount on sneakers because I'm a sneaker freak. Roland?
Nah, times have changed, man.
Oh, no, I'm not denying that they've changed. But I'm talking about how people communicate with work. When you walk up to a job, right, you are dealing with somebody. When you fill out an application online, you are on an infinite waiting list. And knowing some pipe, and I know there are people out there. You call me and you tell me because I know that you've dealt with it. You have gotten a phone call from the person you applied or the company you applied for months later. And they go, hey, Mr. Johnson, did you apply to come and work with us? It's like, I think I did. I don't even remember because people are just filling out so many of them. You never remember. And this is it's like a non-personal relationship with an employer. People don't remember that. And also, you don't get to shine when you're in front of the employer, which is part of the whole gig.
Yeah, you got to get the interview to shine.
That's what I'm saying. But that if you're applying it online, the distance between you applying and you actually getting that personal meeting is now and forever, as I expressed in the beginning with my U-Haul thing.
That's because they don't want the in-person meeting anymore with people with workers. They don't want that because there's a lot to deal with having a bunch of people in your place. Maybe people, are getting rowdy. You got people that are hygiene issues. You got people that are sick. There's a lot of things.
You get to look at the candidate in the face.
Yeah, they don't care about that. They're going to look at your LinkedIn profile, see if you got a picture up there, take a look at that picture, look at your things, and then there's algorithms that picked it. And then the number one thing is they're not putting those posts out there because they actually want to hire other people. They're putting those posts out there because it's mandatory by the job, but they already 9 times out of 10 know the person they're going to hire.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But that's what I'm saying, is that all I hear are complaints about how we don't have people to fill these jobs. Look at these. This is incredible numbers in Connecticut. Health care and social assistance, right? This is the leader, okay, in unemployment or non-employees. 17 to 18,000 jobs have been posted. Yeah, man. Retail trade. Okay, these are big box and grocery chains. Specialty retail, e-commerce fulfillment. They are missing. They need 10 to 11,000 employees. You're going to tell me that you don't have Kids who could do that job fresh out of high school.
Yeah.
And again, here's another thing. As Mark Christopher just expressed, right? Kids are shy about walking into or asking for a job. So I've got an idea. Why don't we do what we used to do? Recruit. Have somebody out there at your company. You need to fill 10,000 positions. I'm pretty sure there's a company out there that's got to fulfill at least 100 positions. Go out to those underserved neighborhoods and go ask somebody, hey, do you know any kids who need a job? And guess what? There's health benefits or there are other benefits. There's advancement. Help some of these poor kids get out of the poverty situation that they're in so they can start earning for themselves. So guess what? They don't go in alternative routes like gangs or drug dealing or anything. You actually make them a part of the market and you teach them how to earn. But the only way that you're going to do that is you actually go out and you meet those folks. Forget the job fair nonsense. That's stupid. It is. No one ever shows up at the job fair. Why? Because it's some representative at some convention center. It's not like going to the job and actually meeting and seeing the people inside the work. Because when you walk into a job and you see the building that you might be working for, right? You walk in and you see the people there. You see the office workers, people walking through the hallway. You see them. There's a sense of, I want to work here. There's a sense of, this seems like an environment I want to be a part of. That's the way people have always gotten jobs. It is a natural, innate thing in us that we walk in a building and we see the people working there. We see the smiles on their faces or the excitement about being there. And you say, yeah, man, I want to be a part of this. But when you have to do it online or you do it in some, anonymous hotel room or some hotel conference room, there is nothing about that says, please work for this company. It just isn't. You disagree, I'm assuming.
I'm a little, I understand your point, but I'm a little bit on both sides of that because I'm not speaking from me personally. I'm speaking from the company.
Right. I know, and I get it.
They just don't want people in their establishments. The people that they want there is the people that they're actually going to consider for the job. They don't want to have to filter through. You have 50 candidates and you got to interview all 50 and you got to pick the best 5 that you want for the second round, and then you're only going to hire three out of the 5. They don't want to go through that. They want the online process to filter that out, and they just want to take in the 5 that they have to interview.
There's so much turnover on that, though.
I know.
And I've experienced that in so many ways, especially at U-Haul. Right, I've seen these people, before I left U-Haul, I was working inside the office as what's called the traffic control manager. And that's the guy who controls all the trucks as they come into your marketing company. So you direct the trucks on where they need to be because customers are leaving with trucks or they need more trucks in certain areas. So as a traffic control manager, I have people who work under me who are reservation managers, and they're the people who deal with customer problems.
Yep.
Hey, my truck's not here. Can I go pick it up at another location? Hey, this truck had no brakes. Can I get compensated? So my reservation managers were there. Do you know how I got? First of all, when I had my first reservation managers, not one of them spoke Spanish. And we lived in a heavy Latino and Hispanic area. By the time I left the company, every one of my reservation managers were Ecuadorian or Salvadorian. And they all spoke Spanish. And they were all women, but they all spoke Spanish. Why? It increased our numbers because they had people who could speak Spanish because our customer base had rose in that area. But guess what? Every one of them was an interpersonal or a personal relationship with the other one. In fact, 5 of the girls who worked for me were either cousins or sisters of the same family.
Yeah.
And they were all great, and they called me their office dad. But why did I hire all of them? They would have never, ever thought to come to U-Haul to work because someone had to go out there and recruit them, which is exactly what we need to do.
Yeah, for your specific demographic.
Exactly. The jobs that you need. Try this one on for size. Sounds crazy. In manufacturing, we got 5,000 to 6,000 vacancies in manufacturing. And who can take those jobs? Do we need high school diplomas for those jobs? No, absolutely not. Truth Free says apprenticeship is golden for those who want to learn and get a decent skilled job. Truth says ICE is taking them. Shut up. Kind of lazy on HR or management. In a way, in my opinion, I agree with you, Cynthia. That's such a good point. Is that And also she agrees with you, Roland, that algorithms are used a lot of times. But in my view, this is what I'm saying, is that you know that people are not going to come down to your businesses to apply. They don't even know that there are this many jobs out there. So you've got to go out there and introduce your company to the employee. And you got to say to those kids, especially in the inner city, because those are the most underserved communities. Those young people who are probably going to graduate from high school or may not, who don't know what they're going to do. They don't know what they're going to do with their future. So imagine you grab those kids, very viable kids, young kids, good kids, and tell them, hey, we'll train you. We'll pay you to train. You work there 6 months at a probationary level, and then from there, we'll hire you full time, and you'll get health benefits. Imagine that. Imagine those kids who, again, not that they don't have any future, but there's no college for them, and you know they're going to have to join the workforce at some point. But they're afraid, as Mark Christopher said, especially out of high school, afraid, nervous. Many of these kids don't think or don't believe they have the skills for work. So if you know that, cut out that middleman, that fear and that tactic. Go out there. Talk to your employees. Hey, do you know any kids in your community who might be looking for a job? Hey, tell them to come on by. Or tell me where I can go to go actually see if I can recruit some kids. Go down and play basketball in the weekend in some of those neighborhoods. Go play basketball, meet those kids. They're like, hey, what's up, man? My name is John. I work down at the plant, man. We're looking for a lot of people down there. You know anybody who might be interested? The guy will go, yeah, I know a couple of people. We used to have at least that kind of enthusiasm about getting people hired. Imagine the work, and it costs you nothing to do it. And imagine the demographics that you can reach and the lives you can change. Just nobody does it anymore. That's right. Truth, you are amazing. Wherever you've been, you make sure you come back here. Brilliantly said. A lot of these companies, like Walmart and others, they help kids get an education. Some of them will even pay for it, or at least match it. Imagine what you could be doing for these kids. Kid doesn't have a high school diploma? Don't worry about it, kid. We'll get you your GED. That GED will still apply you for this job. You get this benefit, that benefit, and the whole 9 yards. So you teach them a skill, and they can provide for their families and themselves. They have a work ethic. They have a sense of pride. They're proud to go to work, and they are proud to come home. Why? Because they've done an honest day's work. Now, I know a lot of you people are thinking, but the kids here are lazy. No, they're not. They're scared. They are scared to death because they think and they believe that they're going to be turned away. And that means you got to put the effort out there to get them. If you really want, these are 5,000 manufacturing jobs. There is no excuse for this type of vacancy. None. No excuse for it. And that's my whole point. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views. Let's get to Mark Christopher. He's at the BPS the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark. That's right. I got work to do. I got work to do. I got work to do.
So much work. Tell you what, that White album was a fine piece of work by Average White Band back in 1975.
But you get my point, right, Mark?
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you.
Thank you, sir.
I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. Let's get these kids working, man. They're gonna, you know what? They'll just, I don't know what it is. Something about it, the pride, and you get your life back on track, and good things will happen.
Indeed, sir.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah, let's do that thing. It's music news. Okay, I got to be truthful about music that I'm not the biggest fan of, but I am mature enough to recognize the importance of this milestone. 2026 marks a very important year because it would be, I guess the best way to describe it, the 100th birthdays or birth anniversaries of two jazz legends, none other than John Coltrane and Miles Davis. 100 years since their birth. Miles Davis on May 26, 1926, and John Coltrane born September 23rd, 1926. And you could damn well bet this year there will be tributes for both of those men. Well, now, you being a musician, because I've always laughed about this, is that musicians are often told that they must know something about one of these two guys. Roland, and as a producer, did you have to, did you sample Miles or Coltrane in any way? Did you even, invest in learning about them growing up?
I learned about it in Music 101 in college.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really
You weren't invested in jazz, at least.
No, I was invested in jazz. I just
really?
was invested in them because it was more of.
Were you a Donald Byrd guy?
Wynton Marsalis, Ellis Marsalis,
yes.
Terrence Blanchard.
Yeah.
I was more of that because they were from where I'm from, so we were learning more about our New Orleans culture more than anything.
I told
my mom went to school with Terrence Blanchard. So.
Oh, okay. Did I tell you my ex-wife used to date?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's another tragic moment in my life. Anyway, let's get another check of weather and traffic and another music guy. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Now, Mark, did you have to study anything on Miles? There he goes.
No.
You didn't? Okay, so that wasn't a part of your repertoire.
No.
But you are familiar with
but I'm not a musician. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, you can't go wrong.
He was a Renaissance man.
Is that Miles you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, very dark, brooding, and mysterious.
Exactly.
If anything. And the coolest cat around, I will say.
Well, you sounded good here.
He damn sure did.
I'm thinking of some warmer weather here, Reese. Summertime.
No doubt.
It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Phone calls coming up, 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842 on this Tuesday, January the 6th, on Reese on the radio. I have this list in front of me, and I planned on using it today to make a broader point. And because the show went off the rails on this January 6th anniversary. And I was very happy to see on NBC Connecticut, which is playing on the TV above me, to see people go down to Washington and go represent themselves while they're smeared. And that it means a lot. You have no idea. It does. But in all of that, there was also the issue of what took place in Caracas in Venezuela. And the thing that has happened thus far is every network is throwing on an expert to tell us what's going to happen. And it is, in a large way, like no matter where you look, they're sort of prognosticators. They're the inside track. They know everything. And they love telling the American people because they know so well what's going to happen. See, what's going to happen is Donald Trump is going to do this, this, that. And Donald Trump's actions will cause this, this, and that, and this. And it's gambling with you. It's gambling with their own reputation. It doesn't matter because the network's going to bring them back. And when they bring them back, no one ever says, the last time you were here, Bob, you said that this would happen. You were wrong. Why should we bring you back today? No, they just bring them on back. They're back. Ask Paul Krugman. Which brings me to this. On November 9th of 2016, there will be a global recession with no end in sight, predicted by the aforementioned Paul Krugman, who was a New York Times columnist at the time. The actual result, the U.S. economy experienced strong growth, with unemployment dropping to historic lows, GDP increasing, and the stock market reaching record highs during Trump's first term. On December of 2017, tax cuts would be Armageddon and the end of the world, and the worst bill in history. This was predicted by House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi. The actual result, the tax cuts in the Jobs Act provided tax relief to approximately 80% of American families, with median families saving about $930 annually and preserved tax progressivity without causing economic collapse. This is a woman who can predict the stock market with ease. December of 2017, tax cuts would result in 10,000 deaths annually due to health provisions. That was predicted by Larry Summers, the former Treasury Secretary under Barack Hussein Obama. Actual result? No evidence of mass deaths linked to the tax law's provisions ever emerged, and the public support for the law grew to over 50% by early 2018. In December of 2017, tax cuts are akin to rape, said Bruce Bartlett, former Reagan administration official, on MSNBC. Actual result? Millions of Americans received raises and bonuses attributed to the tax cuts with no societal or economic breakdowns. Also in December, tax cuts are evil in the extreme. Governor of California at the time, Jerry Brown. Tax cuts are a cynical 1-2 gut punch to the middle class. Chuck Schumer, Senate Democrat leader. Actual result, the Tax Policy Center analysis showed 80% of families benefited with the average savings of $1,600 per family. December of 2017, Jerusalem recognition and embassy move could severely, perhaps irreparably, damage peace prospects. Bernie Sanders. Actual result, the move occurred without irreparable damage. The Abraham Accords were signed in 2020, normalizing relations between Israel and Arab nations. Dianne Feinstein, the late. Jerusalem recognition would spark widespread violence, emboldening extremists, and erode U.S. credibility as a mediator. Actual result, no protest, no clashes. Let me see. January of 2020, the killing of Soleimani would start World War III. This was predicted by various Democrats and liberals. They said widespread social media claims said that would definitely happen. World War III. Actual result, Iran responded with missile strikes that they alerted U.S. bases were coming. Yeah, that actually happened. They said, hey, we're going to shoot them. Yeah, we can't look like suckers here, Trump. You know what I'm saying? You're going to make us look like a sucker? Okay, go ahead, fly them. Go ahead, just shoot your rockets. Don't you dare touch anybody. 2024, another economic disaster following re-election. Another one by Paul Krugman. Still considered, even after he got 2017 wrong. Actual result, economy improved with inflation decreasing and from previous levels, the stock market setting new records, gas prices dropping, and grocery prices beginning to fall. 2025 economic Black Monday, stock market crash due to Trump's policies predicted by Democrats generally. Actual result, markets experienced normal fluctuations. Dow dropped 0.91 in one day, but no crash or Black Monday approached. January 2025, pre-inaugurations, tariffs on Mexico would make beer and avocados unaffordable for Super Bowl parties. That was Chuck Schumer. He held a press conference where he awkwardly held up avocados and Corona beer. Of course, we know the actual result. Prices remain stable and no reported shortages or significant price hikes for these items ever happened. July 4th of last year, tariffs would ruin the economy on purpose, causing everyone to pay more for everything. That came from Brian Schatz, senator. Actual result, no economic ruin. Tariffs did not spark a recession, and the economy remained resilient without widespread price increases as predicted. Also, throughout 2025, tariffs would spark a recession and economic collapse. We have seen nothing of the sort. ever. And no matter how many times that they are wrong, and by the way, these are just a slim picking, I'd be here an hour if I went through the entire list. With all of that catastrophic nonsense, does anybody remember the phone call I got many moons ago with the tariffs thing and the dip in the stock market? Do you remember the guy who got on the phone and screamed at? He's probably listening right now. You remember? You remember when you said it to me? Reese, you think this is a joke? My 401k is at risk. Remember? I remember. It comes back to me often. It's like PTSD. I remember him screaming at me. I remember it well. I've not received a phone call yet to apologize. Not once did I receive a phone call that said, Reese, you were right. I overreacted. You told me not to panic, and I didn't listen. And I called here, and I screamed at you. Never once did he ever call back. You remember the guy. I know you do. He's never called back to say, hey, my 401k is looking grand, Reese. Fantastic. Never once. Not that I deserve the credit. I don't. I don't deserve the credit. I don't even want the credit. But an apology would be nice. You did yell at me. And all I said was, chill out, bro. Chill out. Is that out? Which one says it? Is it Chong who says it? Mellow out, man. Mellow out. Just mellow out. But they screamed and hollered at me, didn't they? I didn't know what I was talking about. I guess, truthfully, what I'm trying to say is like, yesterday was a perfect example of what I mean, like why I was so out of sorts, so to speak. I'll explain it this way. You guys are not dumb. You are not in any way dumb. I consider you folks intelligent. I am not like most program directors and people in this business who tell you be smarter than your audience. You know better than them. Never let them show. I'm not that guy. I know how smart you are. You help me. You educate me regularly. I lean on you a lot. I lean on you. You know, I don't understand this. Explain to me what I'm not getting here, right? I'm having this sense of logic. Please tell me. And you guys call, or you go in the chat room with the scallywags, and you tell me what it is. Oh, okay, Reese, here's what you need to understand. This is why they're doing this, and I lean on you. I don't claim you to know it all. Never been. But there are certain things I do know. This doesn't mean I'm some knucklehead who doesn't know anything. I do know this. And it's not like I have not shown you with evidence. Stop letting that constant theme or mantra or repetitive statement in the news media, do not let that transform you or get you out of your sorts. Don't let them do it. It's built that way. You say, but wait a minute, everybody's saying it must be true. There must be some validity to it. They've got to know. I don't know. I'm just this guy, this schlub goes to work all day. If they know, it's got to be true. It's got to be some sense of truth in that. And I go, no, back off, relax. It doesn't make sense. And here's why. And then when it doesn't, as I've been told, people don't like it, I point out, see what I was talking about? Here's what I meant. And here's the proof of it. And then it goes like, I don't know how you do it, Reese. I'm not doing anything miraculous. I am just not jumping out the window over every certain thing or every ridiculous thing that I hear to come out of the mouths of news people. Just not. I cannot. I'm here to take all of that stuff, dissect it, and tell you why you should consider it and why you shouldn't. And unfortunately, it sucks. It's true. More times than not, you cannot take these people's word for it. You just can't. You just can't. Now, Dr. Steve, you've got to stop calling before we go to a break. So I am going to pick you up. Dr. Steve, do not hang up. I'm going to put you on hold, and you have to stay here until we come back because I know you got a bunch of things you want to yell at me about.
Okay, Reese.
So you got to stay on the line. You got to be patient. By the way, just as a teaser for the audience, what do you want to ask me about?
Me? Oh, actually, I'm going to ask you about. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to discuss with you about an addiction topic regarding the drug industry.
Okay, are we talking about pharmaceutical drugs?
No, sorry. We're talking about the illicit drug trade and Venezuela.
Okay, so talking about, I'm assuming, fentanyl, cocaine, and marijuana, I would assume would be on that list as well, right?
That's so little on the list of concerns.
Okay,
but I suppose.
But fentanyl and cocaine, is that the primary focus of your question or your inquiry?
It sure will be, yes.
Okay, and I'm assuming you want to talk about it as it pertains to the kidnapping. I'm saying that yes. Tongue firmly in cheek.
I know you are.
Okay, so you want to talk about it as it pertains to Nicolas Maduro. Fine.
Maduro.
I will absolutely. So you guys promise me you go stay online. Are you out of work?
I can do. I'm on the line. I'll stay. I'm good.
Okay, good. Don't go anywhere. I love Dr. Steve. I love talking to him, but we always get limited time, so I'm going to spend some time with him today. Stand by, buddy. I got you. We'll talk to Dr. Steve about all of this when we get a chance. He's one of my, again, a lot of you are my favorite people. I love all of you, don't get me wrong, but he's one of my favorite people because, he calls that he's in opposition with me, but he loves the show. It's weird, but I dig it. I dig it a lot. People who don't agree with me ideologically on a lot of things, who still like the show and still like debating with me, it's my favorite thing. I get absolute goosebumps about it. It's like I get to talk to somebody who doesn't agree with me. It's fun for me, and I don't get angry. I do. I love it, and it's a nice little spar. It's like going into the ring, having a sparring partner, get a couple of jabs in. It's better than shadow boxing. We'll get to that in a second. You are using your ability to use your critical thinking. Thank you, Cynthia. That's the role. That's the job. Let's get another check of weather and traffic. It's going to be crazy out there. Let's see what it's like on the roads now. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, sir.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app. Search WTIC News Talk 1080 and tap earlier today to get started.
We will get to Dr. Steve in a minute, but don't forget you can always go to reeseontheradio.com. That's REESE ontheradio.com so that you can opine or you can follow us or you can listen to the show. You can watch the show live right there. It's also on Facebook. Sorry, just keep saying that. It's not on Facebook anymore. It's on YouTube and it's on X if you wish to watch the program. I just got this alert on X, speaking of which, that looks like there's another ad that we're going to be cutting. Right now I'm working on 15 ads in Governor Lamont's Gotta Go campaign. Connecticut dropped one position in the annual U-Haul Growth Index, ranking number 42 nationally, as more residents moved out of the state than moved in 2025, according to data released by the moving company yesterday. It fell from 41st place to 42nd place, keeping it in the bottom 10 states nationally, and was last in net gain as a state. You have to run an ad for that. You don't just repost that. And I understand Ryan Fazio just pointed out, no, you create an ad. You immediately do. That's what you have to do. You have to get on it, and you have to run that ad immediately and make sure it's everywhere. But that's okay. That's what we're for. Jim Harbaugh is fired? Damn. Yeah, he's been there forever, dude. Damn. Yeah, why won't they ever get rid of him? Mike Tomlin. Why won't they get rid of him?
He's so beloved by the players, number one. And number two, he's never had a losing season in his 19-year career.
Yeah, but that's not enough.
Yeah, but... Yeah.
Harbaugh didn't have... When's the last time he had a losing season?
This year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 8 and 9.
8 and... yeah, well... But that's not enough, man. How many Super Bowls that guy won?
2. I believe it's just 2. It may be just no, it's just 1. I think he just won.
Yeah,
because they won in 2000.
Right.
They won right before he got there
with Flacco.
They won with Flacco, but they won right before he got there with Shannon Sharp and them boys. That was Ray Lewis's first one.
Oh,
and then Flacco.
He didn't win again. Oh
yeah,
no,
then Flacco got him.
Yeah, Flacco got him another one.
Yeah, but that wasn't Harbaugh.
That wasn't?
No.
Who was that coach?
That was 18 years ago. That was 2003 to 18.
Oh, it sure was. Yeah. I remember I was at Hot 97 when that happened.
Yeah, 2001, as a matter of fact, I think it was.
That's right. And in fact, the one of the worst quarterbacks with the worst QB rating that day, what did he throw for 139 yards that day?
Yeah, it didn't matter. The defense and Jamal Lewis was outstanding.
Absolutely. Who was the quarterback that was Trey? I'm not going to look it up.
I can't remember his name.
I know his name began with a T. He was straight garbage. And they made him say, we're going to Walt Disney World. We only threw 138 yards because Ray Lewis should have gotten it. But, the controversy, that's the same murder year.
Oh, yeah. What are you going to do?
That's what it was. What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is.
You know who it is. It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, another day, another $1.50 after taxes. Let's get to it. Dr. Steve has been on hold, and he wants to talk, of course, about Nicolas Maduro and his extradition out of Caracas to a Brooklyn detention center in New York City. Dr. Steve, okay, so I'm assuming you have some issues with what took place over the weekend. What say you?
I guess I would say, I don't pretend to be an expert in geopolitics. Okay. I'm not going to wax philosophic on the relative merits of capturing and indicting a sitting, albeit questionably, elected, well, not questionably, unquestionably not elected president. But I am, as you may recall, I am an addiction medicine specialist. Right. I do know a thing or two about the illicit drug trade. And I just wanted to highlight, of all the arguments that I've heard in favor of this capture, the one that's about protecting the lives of Americans who have addictions is a complete fallacy. Number one, no fentanyl comes from Venezuela, like literally none. There is no fentanyl coming from Venezuela, and the number one cause of drug overdoses in the United States is fentanyl. So right off the bat, that has nothing to do with opioid overdose.
How many people die? How many people die as a result of cocaine, though?
Actually, the overwhelming majority of the reason people who use cocaine die in the United States is because that cocaine is contaminated with, guess what, fentanyl.
Right. So the cocaine
itself, yeah.
So let's just say cocaine comes into the country, fentanyl is mixed in with said cocaine. We've got sort of a double dip of poison coming into the community. But nonetheless, we do have people dying of cocaine use because, of course, there's fentanyl coming in as well. So I kind of understand what you're saying as far as like having the semantics argument about stopping Maduro for the sake of stopping fentanyl is kind of a fallacy. You would be right only in one regard, and that is if indeed the President of the United States indicted Nicolas Maduro in 2025 and not 2020.
Help me to understand your statement.
The indictment is from 2020. The Trump administration indicted Nicolas Maduro on March 26, 2020, and for cocaine trafficking.
And please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying whether he should or should not be indicted.
Oh, okay. Well, you brought up fentanyl. You brought up fentanyl as if to suggest the indictment and the therefore apprehension of Nicolas Maduro was related to fentanyl, and it never was.
What I'm saying is that you could literally nuke all of Venezuela and make the country disappear, and it would have no impact on drug use in the United States. Point two that I was getting to is that cocaine. Do you know how much cocaine comes from Venezuela into the United States?
I don't know.
Let me rephrase the question. How much of the cocaine that's in the United States came from Venezuela?
Probably minuscule. What 5%?
Yeah, it's like 3 to 5%.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you can eradicate all of the cocaine, all the drugs. Forget about cannabis, because cannabis is legal in most of the United States anyway. You can eradicate those drugs, and you will have no impact.
Can I
on
challenge your
United States
premise here?
drug death.
Can I challenge your premise?
Please.
Okay.
Of course.
Who said it stops with Venezuela? It looks like Colombia may very well be next. And if I'm listening to the tea leaves, it looks like Mexico is also kind of in the crosshairs of the United States government, Donald Trump in particular. Is that not the case?
I mean, if you're saying that if we take over all of South and Central America and Mexico, we'll address the issue. Well, now we're talking about a whole different ballgame, man. Now
Dr. Steve, your premise is always important. You've always got to consider what you just said. If we're going to take over, I don't believe that President Donald Trump has suggested anything about taking over. In fact, as we know, and we know is hard evidence, regardless of all the headlines, what we know for a fact is that Donald Trump has communicated with the just sworn in former vice president of
Rodriguez,
of Venezuela, Rodriguez. So in essence, we in no way, right? People kept talking about regime change. That's now off the table as a talking point because the vice president of Venezuela is now in power and has been sworn in with no intervention by the United States. No one pressed her. They simply said to her, hey, you better act right. And she is, and from what we hear, may very well be acting right. Outside of that. Now, we do know that Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, who told us over and over again, I am not ever been influenced by the cartels of Mexico. And what have we found out? Indeed, she is. So we may have to start looking at her relationship with the cartels as it pertains to protecting American citizens. And the cartels have been designated as a terrorist organization with weapons of mass destruction, cocaine and fentanyl alike. And I think that we're within our rights to protect our American citizens. And I think that, as I said earlier, they are also, as well as Colombia, in the crosshairs of this president. Would that not be fair to say? Like, we don't stop at Venezuela. It's not over yet.
Reese, my friend, I feel like you're trying to find something controversial in what I was calling about, which is an uncontroversial fact.
I am not. No, I am not trying to find anything controversial. I'm just, the way that you are stating Venezuela is if to suggest that Donald Trump is going all out to go after Venezuela, and it only affects 5% of the cocaine production or cocaine, influx into the United States, and saying that it is, in essence, it's a fool's errand to even bother with removing Maduro. But then I would say to you, then why does Barack Obama call him a national security threat? Why does Joe Biden put a $25 million bounty on his head? Again, if this guy is of no consequence. We do have a people who lived in Venezuela under his very, very dictatorial rule for over 25 years who are now crying and celebrating in the street. Are they not worth it?
Again, Reese, you're putting opinions in.
No, it was questions. It was a question. At the end of it, I said, "Are they not worth it?" You know, it was in the form of a question. You played Jeopardy, Dr. Steve. You're a smart guy.
Just being clear, I cannot say whether it is a good thing or a bad thing for what Trump did over the weekend. Right. I can only say with 100% certainty there will be no change to the drug overdose rate.
How about this one? Wait.
The only thing I can say with certainty.
Okay, you can say it with certainty, but let me propose a different point of view that you can that will counter your, as you see it, like not having any effect whatsoever. What Donald Trump just pulled off is now internationally known as one of the boldest military moves known to man. And he got it done. We're talking about extracting a so-called despot in 15 minutes flat, like in and out and gone on the on Iwo Jima. Now, with all of that, the rest of the world watching that, you don't think that they woke up the next morning and went, that son of a gun did what? All of those guys didn't wake up and go, did he really do that? Just like, remember when he bombed He bombed the Syrian base while he was having dinner with Xi Jinping in the state dinner in the last administration. He's having dinner. Hey, do you like your steak tartare? By the way, I just bombed Russian planes in Syria. You want to see? Here, they're on my phone. Look. He did that. And what do you think Xi Jinping said? It was like, this man is a madman. And that's the message you send to all of the other despots and all of the drug dealers across the country. You say that this guy, forget about the rule of law. I'm going to handle you guys the same way you handle us. You're going to treat our country like it's a dumping ground for your garbage? Well, I'm going to make you pay for it. And you could damn well bet they're all on notice. Would you agree that in some degree that some of those people are kind of hedging on whether or not this president is to be trifled with?
Yeah, I guess I would say that argument is undermined by President Trump's decision to fully pardon Juan Orlando Hernandez, the president of Honduras, as you know, who was extradited in 2022 on charges related to drug trafficking. It was related
to drug trafficking, and I've still heard that, according to the evidence, that every person who testified against him was actually someone who got a pardon or a deal or some sort of exchange for their testimony. And Donald Trump and the Justice Department looked at it, and he actually decided after he saw said evidence that, in his view, that he was framed and allowed him to do it. But again, it still doesn't matter. Maduro was a madman that many people, even Obama, who everybody lauds as the most brilliant guy to ever hold the office, who said the guy was a national security threat. And again, even Ana Navarro, the person who hates Donald Trump, said it was a glorious day, and even she can appreciate what the president has done.
And may be inspired by it.
What do you mean inspired by? In what way?
Well, President Xi has now seen that that any criticism from the U.S. on the grounds of or from Europe or whatever, any country for that matter, on the grounds of you should not attack or depose or invade another nation, another independent autonomous nation. Now President Xi Jinping can say, oh, well, actually now we can. Now both me and my buddy up there in Russia, we should have full reign to go ahead and attack other nations and capture their leaders and attack their capitals, because even the president of the free world did it.
Yes, of course. There's also al-Awlaki. There's also Muammar Gaddafi. Right? Both of those. I mean, al-Awlaki and Gaddafi, both of those individuals. Al-Awlaki was an American citizen that was killed in Yemen, in another sovereign land. The guy was never given due process for the country that screams and hollers about due process all the time. The guy was an American citizen and was shot down with a drone. Let's not forget about the fact that Osama bin Laden was in Pakistan, as Obama likes to call, and that's another sovereign nation, but sure enough, there was military action there. And Muammar Gaddafi, there was no intervention there, at least no permission given by Congress that allowed them to go into a 7-month war in Libya, to which Hillary Clinton laughingly said, we came, we saw, he's dead. Why didn't Xi Jinping react then?
Yeah, I can't say. Again, I'm not an expert on geopolitics. I only know that drug deaths will not change in the United States, and I really don't believe that the drug cartels in Mexico care at all, particularly when, again, a man who was convicted in a U.S. federal jury, the president of Honduras, was pardoned by Donald Trump.
Yeah, but Dr. Steve, I'm not going to go. A guy like yourself is not going to sit around here and tell me in one breath that because some guy was charged in a federal jail, that in another case that you don't think a person was fairly judged or put through trial, that you wouldn't say, the jurisprudence in most cases are flimsy at best. I don't think that's evidence enough. But nonetheless, you're right. I'm going to hold you to it. If we don't see a change in drug influx into this country, I'll concede, and I'll say, you know what, you're right, it meant nothing. But I think it was bigger than that anyway. But I will concede if that's not the case, okay?
Fair enough.
All right. God bless you, man. I love it when you call.
All right, my friend. Take care.
You got it, sir. All right, folks, that's our show, and it's time for us to get up out of here. We will see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your mind. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night. Pleasant tomorrow. We'll see you scallywags mañana. Mark Christopher, he's getting you home in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Good night, sir.